Open your eyes, DMV. The house is on fire while Peters plays 4D chess. A cast-off RB is rewriting the red zone playbook. A star QB saved the coaching staff with an audible so risky it's chilling to think, what if he hesitated? And the low-key signing reveals a plan to defeat San Francisco at their own game. Do you see it? Every move smells like a master plan for 2025. But if you leave now, you'll miss the juicy details that connect these bombs. How did a hungry RB's stealthy practices make him a key player? What exactly did our QB say in that huddle that froze the coach's blood? And why does this veteran WR choose to inherit Washington's glory over going back to a winning ex-team? Stick around if you believe in changing history, Siri. Because when these secrets are revealed, you'll be running to subscribe. And if you haven't liked yet, what bandwagon are you on? Remember when we all said the Commanders' backfield was a disaster? When Brian Robinson Jr. seemed the only hope and then got traded to San Francisco for a mere 6th-round pick? I told you Peters had a plan, and here's the proof. Chris Rodriguez. Jr. wasn't even a footnote in preseason talks. This Kentucky guy was practically forsaken, relegated to the practice squad last season like any other player. But I think this is exactly what we needed to see. A player who doesn't take no for an answer. And you know what changed everything? A 40-yard run against the Bengals that left everyone speechless. But let me tell you the details that did show up in the ESPN highlights. Rodriguez didn't just run those 40 yards. He did it on a 3rd and 8 when Cincinnati's defense was fully locked on stopping the pass. He took the handoff, saw the designated hole wasn't there, made a cut to the right that left 2 linebackers grasping air, broke a tackle from the safety at the 20-yard line, and kept pushing to the end zone. It wasn't a lucky run where the defense fell asleep. It was pure vision, power, and determination from a player who knew every rep could be his last chance. Zach Selby, who knows this team better than anyone and has seen hundreds of players develop throughout his career, is saying something that should put everyone on high alert. Rodriguez isn't just going to be the 3rd and short specialist. He might have a much larger role than anyone imagined. When Selby says this, he doesn't say it lightly. This is a guy who saw Alfred Morris emerge from nowhere in 2012, who witnessed Chris Thompson's growth as a dual threat and knows how to spot real talent when he sees it. But do you know what really excites me? The full story of how Rodriguez got here. This guy was a 6th-round pick last year, which already means 31 teams didn't believe in him enough to take him earlier. He came to Washington with low expectations, competing against established veterans and rookies with more hype. In his first season, not only was he cut from the initial roster, but he was sent to the practice squad, where many talents slowly die. Most players in that situation deflate, lose confidence, start looking for alternative jobs. Rodriguez did the opposite. All last season, while on the practice squad, this guy stayed after practices working on his cutting technique. Reporters covering the team regularly mentioned seeing him at the gym at hours when others had gone home. It wasn't just blind dedication. It was smart dedication, focused on improving specific aspects of his game. When the offseason came and he inked a new deal, many thought it was just a formality that Peters kept him as cheap depth for the practice squad. But Rodriguez used every spring practice, every OTA session, every rep in training camp to show he had evolved as a player. What truly impresses me is how Cliff Kingsbury has started designing plays specifically leveraging Rodriguez's unique strengths. They're not using him as a generic running back replacement. They're utilizing him as a specific tool for specific situations. His red zone skills aren't accidental. They come from hours studying film with the coaches, understanding exactly where the holes will be and how to attack them. Austin Eckler brings veteran experience in playoff situations. Jeremy McNichols offers versatility and system knowledge. Rookie Jackery Kroski-Merritt has the explosive potential that comes with being a 7th-round pick with something to prove. But Rodriguez has something none of the others have: desperate hunger combined with obsessive preparation. The competition in that backfield is fierce. But Rodriguez not only survived the final cuts, he's emerging as a key piece in Kingsbury's plans to maximize touchdown opportunities in the red zone. That doesn't happen by chance. Peter saw something in this guy that the rest of us missed, and now we're starting to understand what it was. But you know what the real test for Rodriguez is? Maintaining this urgency, this aggressiveness, this attention to detail throughout a full season of 17 games plus playoffs. It's easy to impress in preseason when everyone's trying to make the roster. It's completely different to maintain that level when facing the NFL's best defenses week after week, when your body hurts, when expectations rise. If Rodriguez can do that, if he can become that dominant red zone presence Peters and Kingsbury envisioned when they decided to keep him, then he'll not only have justified his roster spot, he'll have earned a long-term commitment from this franchise and proven that Peters' development system works even with players others discarded. If that surprises you, wait till you hear this. Do you remember that Monday Night Football game in Week 3 against Cincinnati? We were all nervous because it was just Jaden's third week in the NFL, playing under the bright lights on enemy soil against a team supposedly contending in the AFC. I was there watching the game thinking, this guy is still a rookie. I hope he doesn't buckle under pressure. But you know what Daniels did? In the middle of the game, with the brightest lights he'd faced in his short career, he asked Cliff Kingsbury to adjust a specific play. But let me walk you through exactly what happened in those moments that changed everyone's perception of who Jaden Daniels really was as a leader and as a quarterback. It was the second quarter. We were down 14-10. Facing 3rd and 7 on our own 35-yard line. The Bengals had been successfully pressuring us all first half, and Joe Burrow seemed to be hitting his stride on the other side of the field. The pressure was mounting, both literally and figuratively. Kingsbury had called a 5-route pass concept designed to get the necessary yards for the first down, a conservative yet logical play given the situation. Daniels approached the line, read the defense, and saw something Kingsbury hadn't seen from the sideline. Cincinnati's linebackers were positioned in a way that left them vulnerable to a deep slant route if Terry McLaurin could beat the cornerback in man coverage. Instead of simply executing the play as designed, Daniels called a timeout and ran to the sideline. But here's the part that gives me goosebumps. He didn't go tell Kingsbury the play wouldn't work or that he was afraid of the incoming pressure. He went to propose a specific alteration based on what he'd seen in the defense. Coach, I see they might be vulnerable to the slant and go if Terry can beat the press coverage, Daniels said, according to sources close enough to overhear the conversation. I can put the ball where only he can catch it. Do you grasp what just happened? A rookie 3 weeks in his first Monday Night Football, under pressure both on the scoreboard and the clock, had the confidence and game vision to identify an opportunity his veteran offensive coordinator had overlooked. And he had the guts to communicate it in the most critical moment. Kingsbury, who'd been in the NFL both as a player and coach for over a decade, could have dismissed the rookie's suggestion and stuck with his original plan. He could have thought Daniels was nervous and trying to do too much. Instead, he quickly assessed what his quarterback was seeing, recognized the logic behind the suggestion, and changed the play on the fly. The result wasn't just a touchdown to Terry McLaurin, it was a perfect demonstration of how the ball was placed exactly where Daniels had visualized, in a spot where only McLaurin could catch it while the cornerback was completely out of position. The connection was so precise that ESPN commentators called it a veteran pass, without knowing it had been audibled in real time by a rookie. But here's the part that truly changed everything for the organization. After the game, when the coaches reviewed the film, they realized Daniels hadn't just correctly identified the defensive weakness, he'd processed multiple variables in real time. He'd seen the safety's alignment, calculated the timing needed for McLaurin to complete his route, and correctly evaluated his own ability to make the throw under pressure. That's not rookie instinct. That's veteran quarterback mental. Processing in the body of a 23-year-old athlete with a cannon arm. Kingsbury later admitted that specific play fundamentally changed how he and the rest of the coaching staff viewed Daniels' capabilities to run the offense. From that moment on, we knew we weren't dealing with a normal rookie, said an anonymous source from the coaching staff. We were dealing with someone who understood the game at a level that typically takes years to develop. The trust Kingsbury invested in Daniels from that night only grew exponentially. Remember how for the rest of the season we started seeing More audibles, more freedom for Daniels to change plays at the line, more complex concepts usually reserved for quarterbacks with years of experience. All that traces back to that night against Cincinnati when a rookie had the courage to respectfully challenge his coordinator and was right. What impresses me most about Jaden isn't just his physical talent, which we all already know, or even his mental acumen for the game. It's his leadership mentality that goes beyond football. When he says, I want people to speak well of me when I'm not in the room, he's not talking public relations or public image. He's talking about genuine character. And do you know how we know this is real and not just nice words for the media? Look at how the veterans have responded to him. Laramie Tunsil, a 5-time Pro Bowler who's played with elite quarterbacks throughout his career, didn't just agree to come to Washington. He's very happy to protect Daniels. That kind of enthusiasm from an established veteran doesn't happen because the front office wooed him with money. It happens because Tunsil sees something special in the quarterback he's going to protect. Terry McLaurin, who has played with more mediocre quarterbacks than any receiver of his caliber deserves, speaks of Daniels with a level of respect and enthusiasm he never showed for Alex Smith, Case Keenum, Dwayne Haskins, Taylor Heinicke, Carson Wentz, or any other quarterback he's had to endure in his years in Washington. But do you know what convinces me that Daniels is different? The evolution of his relationship with Kingsbury during the season. What started as mutual respect became genuine trust, and is now something few quarterback-coordinator duos achieve. True collaboration. When Daniels says he can now tell Kingsbury, I'd rather do this instead of that, and Kingsbury simply agrees because we both want to win. That's not just a cute media anecdote. That's evidence of a quarterback who has earned the right to have significant input in how the offense is run. Do you know how rare that level of mutual trust is between a second-year quarterback and a coordinator trying to rehabilitate his reputation after inconsistent years in Arizona? Kingsbury can't afford to give Daniels freedom unless he's completely convinced the quarterback's decisions are going to help the team win. And that trust didn't come out of nowhere. It was built through moments like that Monday Night Football game and reinforced every week when Daniels proved he could make the right reads, take smart decisions, and execute under pressure in the most important moments. Look at what happened in last season's playoffs. Every time we needed a critical play, every time the game was on the line, Daniels didn't just step up, he elevated his level of play. That's not coincidence. That's the DNA of a franchise quarterback revealing itself under the most intense pressure. Daniels' leadership mentality goes beyond football. When he talks about being a role model and someone in the community, he's not reciting PR answers. He's articulating a life philosophy that understands his influence transcends what happens on Sundays at FedEx Field. And do you know what gives me more hope for the future? Daniels isn't satisfied with what he accomplished as a rookie. He's hungry to get better, to find ways to be more effective, to develop facets of his game that still have room for growth. That combination of natural talent, obsessive work ethic, and humility to keep learning is exactly what separates good quarterbacks from great ones. While Jerry Jones keeps collecting tabloid headlines instead of quality players, Adam Peters is doing exactly what a smart general manager should do. Evaluate every opportunity to improve the roster without causing unnecessary noise. Kendrick. Bourne was just released by the New England Patriots after Minnesota went with Adam Thielen from the Carolina Panthers. And guess who has a meeting scheduled with him this Tuesday? That's right, our Washington Commanders. But let me tell you the full story of why this potential acquisition is much more strategic than it seems on the surface. Bourne isn't just another veteran receiver available on the open market. He's a player Peters knows intimately from his days as part of the front office in San Francisco. Remember 2017. The 49ers were rebuilding under Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, trying to identify talent other teams had overlooked. Bourne was an undrafted free agent coming out of Eastern Washington, a college that doesn't regularly churn out NFL receivers. But the group of San Francisco scouts, of which Peters was an integral part, saw something special in this guy. It wasn't just his combination of size, 6'1", 190 pounds, and speed that caught their attention. It was his obsessive work ethic, his ability to run precise routes from multiple positions, and his mentality of do whatever it takes to help the team win that convinced them he was worth taking a chance on. During his 4 years in San Francisco, 2017 to 2020, Bourne not only met expectations, he consistently exceeded them. In 2020, his final year with the 49ers, he caught 49 passes for 667 yards and 2 touchdowns, while playing in an offense that included Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle. That type of production as the 4th or 5th receiver in the hierarchy demonstrates exactly the kind of professionalism and skill Peters values. When Bourne went to New England in 2021 as a free agent, many thought it was a typical case of a system player who couldn't replicate his success outside Shanahan's offense. But you know what happened. In his 3 years with the Patriots, Bourne proved his talent was portable, even playing with quarterback inconsistency that included Cam Newton, Mac Jones, and Bailey Zappi. Bourne maintained a solid level of production. In 2021, his first season in New England, he caught 55 passes for 800 yards and 5 touchdowns. In 2022, dealing with injuries that limited his playing time, he still managed 35 receptions for 434 yards and 4 touchdowns in just 11 games. Last season, playing in an offense that changed coordinators and systems multiple times, Bourne remained a reliable presence with 37 receptions for 406 yards and 4 touchdowns. Those numbers aren't spectacular, but they're exactly what you'd expect from a solid complementary receiver who understands his role and executes it without drama. And that's precisely what the Commanders need, a reliable veteran who can contribute right away without requiring an extensive adaptation period. But do you know why this situation is perfect for Washington? Because Bourne isn't looking to be the number 1 receiver on any team at 29. He's been in the NFL long enough to understand team success is more important than individual stats. He comes from the Patriots, where he learned the importance of doing your job without seeking recognition. And that fits perfectly with the culture Peters and Dan Quinn are trying to establish. The contract structure Ian Rappaport mentions is already agreed upon with both Washington and San Francisco is fascinating because it suggests Peters isn't entering a bidding war. This isn't Jerry Jones offering ridiculous contracts for players in decline. It's Peters identifying a specific market value and having reasonable terms already negotiated. And you know what that tells me? That Peters has been monitoring Bourne's situation before he was even released. This isn't a knee-jerk reaction to an unexpected opportunity. It's part of a broader plan to optimize the receiving corps around Jaden Daniels. Look at our current receiving depth chart. Terry McLaurin is clearly our WR1, an elite player who can dominate from any position. Deebo Samuel Sr. brings veteran presence and experience, but he's in the final stage of his career. Jalen Lane showed promising flashes as a rookie, but is still developing. Noah Brown is solid but limited. Luke McCaffrey has potential, but is extremely young and inconsistent. See the pattern? We have an elite receiver, several players with potential, but we lack that reliable veteran presence who can operate as WR2 or WR3 depending on the situation and matchup. Bourne fills exactly that need without disrupting the salary structure or creating ego issues in the locker room. This competition with San Francisco for Bourne services is interesting because both teams offer different things. The 49ers can offer familiarity and an offensive system Bourne already knows perfectly. But Washington can offer something San Francisco cannot. The chance to be part of something special that's being built from scratch. Bourne knows the 49ers already have an established receiving group with Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and others. In Washington, he'd have the chance to be a more significant piece in the development of Jaden Daniels as a franchise quarterback. For a player at this stage of his career, that opportunity to contribute to something historic might be more attractive than the security of a familiar role. Look, Commanders faithful, these 3 news pieces aren't coincidental. They represent a fundamental transformation of how this franchise operates. We have Rodriguez emerging as a legitimate backfield surprise, proving Peters' development system can identify and nurture talent others overlook. We have the possibility of adding Bourne, not because we desperately need help, but because Peters operates from a position of strength, evaluating how each potential addition can make the team better without altering the chemistry we've already established. And we have Daniels consolidating not just as our quarterback of the present, but as the leader of this franchise for the next decade. The guy who had the guts to change a play on Monday Night Football as a rookie now has the full confidence of his coaching staff and the genuine respect of veterans who've been in the league for years. Do you think Rodriguez is going to maintain this level of play the entire season? Or do you think it's just preseason hype? Is Peters doing the right thing evaluating Bourne, or should we fully trust in the young talent we're already developing? And do you agree with me that Daniels has already shown he has the character and ability to be the quarterback that leads us back to the glory this franchise deserves? More importantly, do you think these individual moves are part of something bigger? Is Peters executing a master plan that will result in something special this season? Leave me your answers in the comments, because I genuinely want to know what the Burgundy and Gold Nation think about these developments. If you're as excited as I am about the direction this franchise is taking under Peters and Quinn, like this video and help me reach more fans who need to hear this news. And if you're still not subscribed, what are you waiting for? This channel is your home for the deepest analysis, the most important news, and the most honest perspective on everything happening with our Washington Commanders. You won't find this level of detail and context anywhere else, because I guarantee tomorrow we'll have more explosive news, more analysis getting right to the heart of what truly matters for this team's success, and more reasons to believe. This season isn't just going to be good, it's going to be historic. And remember, hail to the Redskins!